Hey Randy, how are you?
Good. Hi, Diana. How's it going?
I'm good, good. Hey everyone. So today we're doing an episode of what is it called? On the flip side. Oh my God, I almost forgot. Too many
Terrible.
shows. On the flip side, and we love to talk about money and finances. We love to talk about it because we understand the importance of it. And if we want, and yeah, just how important it is. We're so passionate about it. And we just want to share what we've learned and our knowledge with every one of you guys.
Mhm.
What do you want to talk about today, Randy?
I don't know. There's a lot going on right now. The
Yeah, there
whole
is a
market,
lot going on.
especially today, the market is red, red, red. I'm talking about the stock market, the crypto market, the real estate market. All the markets are red right now.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
what do you do?
everyone's definitely on a standby, I feel like right now, or just scared to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is a time where everyone is scared, everyone's nervous. There's a lot of fear in the media, for reasons this time because they've everyone's been saying we're in a bubble, 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 and it looks like it's actually finally bursting, like deep,
Hmm.
deep
Hmm.
burst, right? So yeah, nobody wants to commit anything. Nobody wants to buy anything. A lot of people can't afford anything because prices, just consumer prices, have gone up. So it's a very interesting, I want to say fascinating time right now because there's probably so much to learn from everything that's going on.
Yeah, I completely agree because it's just everything's changing. Even in the stores, we're seeing changes in prices too. Just everywhere, things are getting more expensive, or like supply chain is also having issues, which is also causing things to be expensive.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of changes that are going on, and and like that. What we were talking about, I think an important thing to talk about is incomes,
Hmm.
because obviously things are getting expensive, and a lot of people's incomes probably are going to start getting super tight. Food is already getting expensive, more expensive, especially for those that really want those, like, fruits and vegetables and the meats, like the natural things. And if you're
Yeah.
not, if you're going to buy maybe box of things, those are probably, I'm not sure, but those are probably not going as high. But I think definitely everything like fruits, vegetables, meats, and these things are definitely going up in prices.
Yeah, no, on the grocery shelves, we definitely see a big impact on our wallets, right? Because now, $100 was going to be able to get you, maybe a half a cart full of groceries before. Now you might get maybe like, five essential things right now. You're almost at $100 right there,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Especially if you put like, like meat and stuff in. Oh, it's so expensive now.
And you know what? I think this is a great time and a great example to make people aware that, because, like, for example, the saying, um, like, save your money is never, is not always the answer. Like, I feel like now we're in a stage that, because a lot of people always say save your money, save your money, save your money for a rainy day, or these kind of things, where saving your money isn't always the solution. That being said, I'm not telling you to spend your money, but what I'm getting at is increasing your income, right?
Right.
Because there's only so much that you can save, and then you make it to zero. Like, you can only reduce your income, you can only reduce, like, from the money you make, you can only be like, okay, these are my expenses and this is how much I'm going to save. And that's always what you'll cap yourself off. And to really, if you need to increase the amount of money after all your expenses, you have to increase your income. And
Right.
saving isn't a way to increase the amount of money you're saving. You have to start actually increasing your income. What are your
Right.
thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. We're in a time now where you're probably going to be tempted to save because you're like, hey, I don't know where this world is going. I don't know what's going on. I want to save money, but honestly, I don't think any market, right, and no matter what's going on, that saving is and hoarding the money is really the answer, right? Right now, we're in a time where we're not in a growth period anymore. So, even if you're holding some real estate holdings and, you're expecting that those, year over year increases, this is not going to happen at this current moment. Right. So when you hear a lot of real estate professionals talk about cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, and investors saying cash flow, this is the time to really focus and hone in on that cash flow, right? And your cash flow is also, it doesn't have to be passive, it could be your active, so your income and your wages, right? This is the time to not take that for granted at all, because things are getting more expensive. It's not like, you can find investments that are going to, bring you in that equity return so easily right now. So just kind of hone in on your money that's coming in, and to make sure that you also still can find ways to increase your income in this market, right? Even if it's getting a raise, even if it's
Be
finding
honest, I
a
think that's the most major one for people who have jobs.
yeah.
I think you have to, like, it's mandatory to ask for a raise. Like, it shouldn't even, to be honest, have anything to do with your, like your performance. Like, it should be like you have to, because things have gone so expensive that it needs to happen. So I feel like people, like, you should go out and ask for your raises,
Right.
because like, not considering performance, like the expenses are just so much. And how are you supposed
Exactly.
to get to, or like, gas is
Right.
incredibly expensive. Like, there's so many things that are expensive that if they really do need you and want you, your employers, they will give you the raise, because they also understand what's going on in the economy, and they understand how this is impacting everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier for us to say that because we know that's the truth, right? But we know the truth is employers are not going to give you a raise on, they're looking out for their bottom line at the end of the day. So you have to look out for yours. An interesting thing that and if you were, in a position where you want a raise, you've been in a company for a long time, and you can't get it. Interesting thing that I learned actually last week. I sat with um, a personal banker, and she's been with the company for, she said maybe 30 years, and her salary hasn't gone up. The person sitting in the office next to her does the exact same job, and they're making probably 30% more than what she is making. So I said, what's like, how could that happen? And she says, well, that person next door actually left the company, got rehired with an increase, left again, got rehired back again with an increase. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job right now, or bounce from company to company, but it's something I'm hearing a lot, and especially in the HR community, that employers will um, pay more for new employees than the ones that they have already in the company, right? So sometimes you got to get headhunted somewhere else, right, for them to really see what your value was, and then you come back to the company and they might offer you more money than you were originally making. So look at that example, like the person was making 30% more than what the person I was sitting with was making, and it's kind of weird because she still didn't make the move, go and come back. She just kind of like, I'll just stay here and continue with what they've been paying me for the
Well,
last like 10.
yeah, another thing I would like to add on to that I used to also see in the workforce was that not asking for your raises. There's companies that if you don't say anything,
Oh, they're
they
not going to give it to you.
won't give it
Oh,
to you.
absolutely. Why would they?
Yeah, exactly. And I saw that a lot because in in the company I used to work, a company in the past that I used to work at, I always asked for my net every year when it came. I'd always ask, not ask, but I'd like, as in I'd come up and be like, oh, so what's going on with the raises? Like, what are we getting or whatever. And I would always ask the question of, I wouldn't be like, what's my raise or anything like that, but I would always want to know, to basically show them like I'm expecting a raise type of thing.
Right.
And I knew people that they would never ask. There was I don't know if it was the ego, but they're like, if they see if I'm good enough, I will get my raise, and they never got
Oh
a raise.
no,
And
they're
I
not
was
gonna do
just
it. They're not.
like, people don't pay attention to anyone. Like
No.
imagine, like the bosses are so busy with whatever their things are. If they think their employees are happy with what they have, they
Yeah.
will. Why are they going to change anything,
Right.
right?
Never mind them being busy. They actually just don't want to. Why would they just
Yeah,
voluntarily want
give
to
away
to,
money. If you're
do
happy in
more?
the situation you're
Yeah.
in, they're gonna think you're happy. And why am I gonna put more money into something where they think you're okay with that money?
Yeah.
So it's very important to ask. Like I always got my raises
Yeah.
every year. It was for me, it was I always went to just be like, hey, what's going on? What's the plan with the raises this year? I wasn't I'm not the type to be blatant, like, where's my money? You know, I
Yeah.
won't do that, but I'm
Yeah.
definitely like indirectly being like, so just letting you
Yeah.
know you're gonna give me one.
Yeah. No, for sure.
If you
Don't
didn't
be
think
afraid.
about it, I'm getting one just in
Yeah.
case.
Don't be afraid to have those conversations and to ask, right?
Yeah. Don't
And
let
that
the
brings us.
ego get to you. Like, don't like ask. Don't be scared. It's scary, but find like that. Find like that. For me, I find it scary too. Like, there are people who directly ask, like, I want to raise. For
Yeah.
me, that's scary. But I found my way to be able to ask for raises without feeling so like embarrassed or whatever. So find your way and ask for your raise, because this is a good time to ask for raises too. Like, there's so many jobs out there that people, like, companies need workers, good workers. And I think it is probably an easier time right now to get that raise and to
Yeah.
prove yourself. I
Yeah,
think is a lot
especially with the
easier
cost
right
of
now.
things. Yeah, especially with the cost of things rising, right? You can use that and make your argument to see if you can get more money from your employer, right?
Mhm.
And speaking of uncomfortable, questions to ask, the current real estate investors that are out there who are landlords, sometimes we don't think that that 1 to 2% that the province will allow you to raise on your tenants. This is a time where you make sure you get your rental increase every year, because inflation has gone so high, things are going up. Yeah, you might not want to say, hey, well, it's only 2%, so it's not going to make a big deal, right? But if you do that every year in 10 years or 5 to 10 years, you'll see a big difference, right? And you're only bringing more money into your pocket, so it's a no-brainer for me. So this is the time where you got to
100%.
get really, really serious and have those maybe uncomfortable conversations. Even if you like your tenant, even if they're great, 2% ain't gonna hurt anybody. And it's your right, right? Especially now in Ontario, where we've had rental freezes and tenants were really taking advantages of the system, right? This is a time where if you can get a little bit more money, just do it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I mean, you should be seeing it, because I can tell you, I saw it. I saw my expenses going up, and that was same thing. One of them, when the new tenants, or well, when new tenants came in, obviously I increased the rents for that. But same thing with the existing ones, we sent them over because we were seeing, our costs just becoming more and more. And I see them going up more. Like, I can't imagine what my snow plowing bill is going to be like this year. I'm like so terrified.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like that, like everyone's bringing up, like, especially entrepreneurs are increasing their salaries,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, my husband's increased his, like, he's like, yeah, I need to cover, like, I need to be able to live my life, right? And he
Hmm.
needs to make sure his materials and everything are taken care of. It's
That's right.
like if you're giving a quote, he does renovations, for people who don't know, but if he does a quote, like, he can't be going out of his pocket. Like, he needs to make sure his employees are getting paid, he's getting paid. It's
Yeah.
it's important for everyone, and it's, yeah, take
Yeah,
advantage.
I sat with my I'm actually getting my security system installed at home actually today as we speak, and I was talking about the quote yesterday, and I'm like, hey, I got one done at another property, and he charged me this. He's like, man, just the cable to run the camera system. He's like, the cable cost just went up 35%. So
Mhm.
then obviously he has to put that cost on me because he's not going to absorb that cost, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's nothing we can do. Uh, inflation is here. It's going to affect us in every way possible.
Yeah.
So this is the time to focus on income because the growth is not happening, right? If you can find a great property to flip or a great deal, awesome. Go ahead, jump on it. Make sure that your numbers are tight. But on the day-to-day money coming in is my focus right now, and I think that's what people should be focused on.
100%, completely agree. Yeah, increase those rents as soon as they've gone through their 1 year mark. Increase them again because it's very expensive, and yes, it's like everyone's getting impacted, right? So don't make yourself the one that has to sacrifice it. Everyone's getting impacted, and we just all have to deal with it and deal with it in whatever ways you can, cutting some costs, increasing the rent, whatever it is that you have to do to make yourself okay. Because there's also those landlords that newer land like recently purchased houses where they're probably very tight in their margins. So those specifically really have to start figuring out what cost to cut, what whatever they can do to just make sure, because if we are going to be hitting a recession that is harder, let's say, this is the time to start preparing for those. If it is going to be something that is going to be hitting hard or in the next few years, I don't think it's going to be something that we're going to like. I don't think it's going to be like a shock or anything, but I think it's going to be something that we'll probably see like slowly coming in. And I think now is the time to prepare and give yourself that time to really be prepared for what could be coming in the future.
Yep. No, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments related to income? Any other tips related to income?
Tips, honestly, right now it's so hard just to find little ways where what, this is a time where your hustle will outshine, right? If you're a resourceful person, if you're a person that really knows how money is created, right? Like the last 2 years, you could have thrown a dart at anything and you were making money, right? And you probably thought you were great. You probably started giving advice and all this kind of things, right? But now you're like, stuck. You're like, shit, things are different. It was really easy before. Now this is the time to see who's going to survive and who's not going to get underwater too much, right? A lot of people are super leveraged right now. They were borrowing, high ratio mortgages. And now if you bought in the peak, you're underwater, right?
Yeah.
You're definitely underwater. And not only
Or
that,
not even being able to close. I know a few people that haven't been able to close because they bought at the peak and now they can't qualify, don't have the funds. It's not good.
So now is not the time to be getting bad deals. Now is not the time to, be taking, oh, you know what, prices are going to increase or they're going to bounce back. So I can, lose $100, $200 a month. That's okay on the rents, right? I'll just, that's never a good strategy, right? You don't know how long this rut is going to be here for. It could be short. It could be long. We don't know, but one thing
better to prepare for the long term and wish for the best that is super short.
yeah, definitely. So the only way to really stay afloat of this is if you're in positive cash flow and you have income coming in, and it shouldn't be your income that you're making from your 9 to 5 or from your day-to-day business should not be paying for your investments to carry. It's a really bad strategy, but I understand that some people are going to be put into that position. So just stay tight.
100%. Yeah, this is not the time to be, because imagine you also happen to lose your job or something, and then what do you do? So it's definitely take the opportunity now to get creative and find ways. Actually, one creative way that someone told me about that I thought that was very interesting was that they were renting out the properties, and I think it was a duplex, but the backyard was so big that they ended up making it a storage area in the back just to increase their income because they were feeling things were a little tight with the duplex. So they wanted to get some extra income. And so they ended up using their backyard, sectioned off an area for like storing boats or things like that, like big things that you could just store. And I
Yeah.
was just, I personally would have never, I wouldn't really thought of that. But I guess because mine are like so beefed up with cash flow that I kind of don't think of that. But it
Yeah.
was just kind of interesting to hear
It's,
that, because it's just something to keep in the back of your mind, right? Like
it's
if I do get into a situation where money's getting super tight, be like looking at some of my properties and being like, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little more with
That's
you, you know?
that's exactly it. And even up to this morning, I had a conversation with one of my partners, and he has a triplex, right? That he actually recently purchased. He probably purchased at a pretty high price, and he says, it'll break even, right, on rent. And I'm like, okay, great, but we want a cash flow positive, right? So I said, look, the lot is 300 deep. I said, you can use that backyard as a storage facility. People are looking for storage left, right, and center right now. And these are the little creative ways that someone will easily pay $200 to rent, to store stuff, right, per month, right? And just like that, you're back into the money, right? From breaking even to $200 cash surplus, right? So yeah, it's exactly the things that people need to be focused on right now. The assets that you currently have, what can you do? Be creative. Can you add to them? Can you shift this? Can you turn a 2-bedroom unit into a 3-bedroom, or a 1-bedroom into a 2-bedroom, right?
Or a two
This is,
bedroom into two bachelors. Who knows? Whatever
who
makes you the
knows?
most money.
Exactly.
We gotta really cushion ourselves right now. That's what we're
Yeah,
trying to get at.
yeah,
Put in that cushion. So important.
yeah.
Yeah, completely agree. And so another thing that we wanted to talk about was, I guess, like our experiences, like what we're seeing. Randy, like that, like you, Randy, you do flips, and you were just talking about before how you haven't found anything. So you want to talk about your strategy right now?
Yeah. So I don't want to say that I saw this coming, but I was a little trigger shy for the past, I would say, 9 months, right? Because I understood where we were, right? I'm not, I didn't preach negativity. I didn't say, hey, this bubble's going to pop, but I did understand that we were in kind of a little bit of a heightened time to be kind of cautious, time to be super, super, just diligent and not just jump into deals, right? So the last little bit, I have just put a pause on any acquisitions unless I know the numbers were really good. I actually picked up a property maybe about a month ago, which we were like 30% under the, not even the peak, but at the current market at the time. So I'm pretty, and the location was great. So that's another thing, and I always like to go back to real estate, right? Because it's what we do. This is where the locations matter, right? This is where you have to find really good properties, not just in the sense that, oh, it's beaten up, so it's a great deal. Like, it has to be a
The
demand,
numbers.
no matter what, right? Like whether you fix it up, or whether you kind of just put some lipstick on it, right? Or like super like hard renovations or lipstick on it. Like it has to be a good product that in a good location. Maybe no one's buying bachelors. Maybe no one is buying 6 bedrooms and these mansions, right? But what can the core and the mass kind of, what are they looking for? What can they afford? Like 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms in close to the highway or close to stores, grocery stores. These are the things that you kind of now the micros that I would say that you have to look at as well when you're trying to figure out what's your next investment move, especially in real estate, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I mean, and the analyzing the deals, right? Like you analyze the deals and you're just seeing like it's not making sense.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, and it is getting hard because I'm in the same boat as you. I've been looking for a flip for a while for our next flip.
Mhm.
Um, or burr. We like either or, whatever it is. If it's a burr, like I said, it needs to cash flow well. If it's a flip, it needs to profit well.
Right.
Um, and same thing for me. I don't think it was that long, but definitely when that January, February craziness happened, I was just like, I mean, I was still looking, don't get me wrong. I was looking, but it was really funny because I got completely frustrated with it because I was just like, people are going crazy. I don't understand what to do with these numbers. Like, I can't
Yeah.
do anything with this. And I had to stop. I probably stopped around April because I was getting more angry than anything. Like, I was just like, these numbers are stupid. I don't know what to do. You know, like, I was
Yeah.
just like, I can't work with this. And it's just nothing is making sense. Um, and so something that you were saying in one of our past shows with private lending, and
Mhm.
it's very interesting because you do see, because again, my major thing is private lending. And it was very interesting because everything quieted down, even on the private lending side in
Right.
in like that the beginning of the year, super quiet. And if I did see things, did I see anything? I don't think I saw anything. I was actually in a receiving money. Like everyone, I think like that all the experienced investors were
Uh-huh.
all in a phase of like we need to start paying off our loans. We need to get like the AB lender lending or selling it off,
Yep.
because I had many mortgages that were in different ranges. They were in different stages. Some of them that were overdue, some of them that were like still at the, within their
Yep.
terms, some of them that were finishing up. And they all, like in the span of that 1 month, they all started coming in. Um, and it was, I think it's because people were starting to see like, okay, this things are churning. Either I need to refi right now and get the
Yeah.
money out, pay my private lenders out and, get prepared. Or others are like, let's sell quickly. I know there were a lot of flippers that were like struggle, like not struggling, like pushing hard to just get it done, to push out
Hmm.
the rental. I mean, sorry, to push out the house for sale.
Yep.
Because I just saw all of a sudden I became super cash heavy. I've like never had so much money. I think like I had like 90% of my money had already come back.
Yeah.
And then
Because
I remember messaging
nobody
all
wants
my
nobody wants the expensive money in their time. But no matter what, people are always going to need capital. All right.
Mhm.
Maybe people are shy on real estate, but um, right now this is the time, again, to put the money to work still, because we're not saving,
Yeah. Well,
right?
that's what I was gonna get at. Now, actually, all my money's been lent out now because
Okay.
now, and it's different. So now, what I'm seeing people do, for example, everyone's wanting 6 month terms. And
Hmm.
so, what does that mean? Everyone's into the buy and hold, the burrs type of strategies, is what I'm seeing
Right.
right now.
And
Because no one,
what terms were they asking for before?
I was getting like last year was all 1 year. So people were
Okay.
working on much bigger projects.
Hmm.
Um, and they were a mix, burrs and flips, but bigger projects. These are a lot of people are trying to get it done in 3. So getting the renovations, refining out and getting done is basically what
Yeah.
I'm seeing right now, what's happening. And
Yeah.
I mean, my strategy for private lending has also changed. I was like now I don't even lend anything over 80% loan to value. I was doing it before. It obviously depends on the type of flip. Like the bigger the gut, I was able to go obviously more because, or like the bigger the deal they got, like if they were
Yeah.
getting like
If
really
they had a big
substantial,
spread, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
discounts on the house, I would have no problem even going to 100% of the purchase price. I've seen some that they got like amazing deals and I'm like, take all my money, I know you'll do
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas like now I don't see any of that happening. So like that, like I've even become much more conservative with the amount, the loan to value that I lend out,
Yeah.
because things are getting a little iffy. And like that, I'm seeing
Mhm.
people doing more shorter terms, and that to me is people are looking now, like flips are pretty stagnant unless
Yeah.
if someone's getting a super amazing deal, a super
Mhm.
discount where they feel comfortable. But I just saw now everyone's into the burrs and the like the buy and holds is what I'm
Yeah.
seeing in the ones that have come to me.
Yeah, because they don't have a choice now. They realize that, oh crap, I spent the last 6 months renovating this property. It doesn't look like I'm going to take a profit. But providing those people were very savvy, they had more than one exit strategies. So now that they're gonna, hey, strategy one wasn't option one wasn't going to work out, right? You're not going to make that big of a profit on the flip. So, plan B is going to be to hold it. So we might as well refinance. And that's like you were saying, you're going to get back some of your money because you were private lending. Now they went to either A bank or B bank, and now they can hold those loans for a lot more longer than they can have with your money. So yeah, I definitely see it.
Yeah, 100%. What about you? What do you think of, or even just any real estate strategies, or from what I've said?
Yeah. One thing that's for sure, we live in Ontario and the GTA especially. Rent, real estate is going to be in demand. People need places to live still. So I would still, still try to find great rental properties in great locations, because rents haven't really gone down. I think some places rents are actually going up.
Oh
Right?
yeah, which
Yeah.
areas?
In the core, actually, my sister was just telling me that the rents, she lives, I don't know if you know, like Young and Eglinton area. She says the rents are going up in the area in the last 2 months. Right. So I'm like, okay, that's good. So people still need real estate, so you can still buy long holds, because I personally don't see, if we're in real estate, right? It's not like real estate is going to go away. Right. So it's still a time to acquire good rentals and making sure that, but you're not going to cash flow on single family homes, right? That's just
No.
not happening, right?
I
So,
even looked at a one that we are planning to triplex, and I was shocked. I couldn't even get the triplex to cash flow.
and that tells you something.
Right? That was
Yeah.
insane. I was in shock. So I think that area is going to drop in. It needs to drop in value because the rents aren't increasing as fast as the price of the houses increased.
Mm-hmm.
So I foresee that area having to drop in value, the price of the houses.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just, I was shocked. Yeah, a triplex not being able to cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people need to sell. So take a look in the market, analyze your market, be more of a specialist in the market that you're looking at, and you can still pick up some great deals. I seen a property that I was looking at, and I would have paid $600,000 for the property, because I still think it, even now, it's after renovations, it's still worth 750. And someone else scooped up that deal before I could, and I was like, damn, even now that would have been a good deal. You know what I mean? So. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think keeping eyes open because there are opportunities out there. Because I've also been seeing the same thing. Like there was for a strategy that was going on a while ago that people were doing like 48-hour like
Irrevocable. Yeah.
irrevocables, yeah.
Yeah.
And that those kind of things tell you that they need to close quickly, and that kind of tells you, okay, if you need to close quickly, it's for a reason, and you can bargain on the price probably. Maybe not everyone, but there was just like little things that you're seeing, or that or for example, things are staying longer on the market. You could probably bargain those at some of them. I mean, some of them you
Yeah.
can, some of them you can, right? Some of them are staying on the market because they want to keep their value and try to
Yeah.
get that, but others are like probably a
Yeah.
good opportunity to ask for a reduction in the price.
Yeah. You see a lot of price changes on the MLS. You see a lot of terminated listings. Some people are still stubborn. They still have that mentality of January, February. So they just want that. And those are the people that are going to get hurt the most, because if they don't really adjust their mind, see, they adjusted their minds when things were going up. So they were happy when their property was worth 7. Then the next month it was worth 750. Then the next month it was worth 8. Right? They were easily, I call it greed. Right? They easily adjusted their minds to that scenario. But when things are going down, they have a very difficult time, adjusting back on the way down. Like, shoot, my property is now worth 750. Crap, it's now worth 7. Right? And a lot of people are still stuck on that 8, and they're listing their properties on the market and demanding 8, because they're like, hey, my neighbor sold for 8, and now a month later your property is worth 650. And they're going to want to blame realtors. They're going to want to blame everybody else but themselves, right? You really have to adjust your mind to what's going on. I've seen a
Yeah.
property on the market for almost probably 6 months, I want to say. They were demanding 1.5 at a time where, it was worth 1.45, right? So they're trying to get $50,000 more than what the market has suggested, and now they'll be lucky to get $1.2 million for that property, right? And those are the type of things that you just got to be careful, even if you are a buyer or a seller in this market. Just just adjust.
Yeah.
Be able to
Especially
adapt.
if you need to sell, I would say. Because if you don't, then wait it out for the long term, a few years, and it goes back, whatever. But for those people that need to sell, yeah, just think of, because I actually had a friend, a real estate friend, where she said, she was same thing. It was the height of the market, so they were like, "Oh my God, this will probably sell for 1.4, 1.5 for sure because of the
Mm-hmm.
market." And then she ended up getting 1.2, but her 1.2 was what her expected sale was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Before this up, that's what she was expecting. And she was saying afterwards, I'm so glad that I just stuck out with the 1.2 because I think it was on the market for like 30 days. So but it's like I think the conflict inside of you too, right? Because you're like, everything says it should be 1.4. I'm getting 1.2. And she kind of said the same thing as you. She's like, but why am I being so greedy? I'm getting my good profits, exactly what I wanted.
Yep.
And then she was so happy that she decided to say yes and just go forward with it because the market was still going down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes it's very hard. I think it is sometimes a little easier for real estate investors because we do have our numbers, and usually
Mm-hmm.
when you're meeting your targets, then you're like that. Like she was like, okay, it's 1.2, that's what we expected. Why do we, like, yes, it's another 200K that you're missing. Like, it was kind of sad, but at the same time, it's just, am I gonna,
But
like,
a
you
year
start putting a
ago,
little bit of the logic into it, right? Because she was like, well, I had like 30 families coming in. Like, clearly it's the market is saying this is a 1.2. I'm not going to wait for another month, right, to see what
exactly.
happens.
Yeah, and I mean, a year and a half ago, you would have been happy with 950, right? So yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
let it take over you because it can easily grab a hold of you so easily.
exactly, exactly.
So
Mhm.
or should we review our tips? What was our tips? What was our income tips? I forget now. What did we say for
Yeah,
income? Increase your
now,
income. It's so important.
yeah, increase your income, whether it's at work by a raise, whether it's have those conversations with your employee if you can. I'm not going to recommend this, but if you can, get go somewhere else to work, maybe come back to the company. You might get offered some more money. I'm not a employee, so I can only say what I've heard and what I've seen. But if you have cash flow, if you have rental properties, it's time to increase your rent if you can, and also find other ways in the property to increase the income and generate some more income, whether if it's getting some rental spaces on the property if it supports, converting 1 bedrooms to 2 or 2 bedrooms to 3, that kind of thing, or split something like you said into 2 bachelors instead of a 2 bedroom, right? So these are the things now we have to focus on, is our income and how to fortify ourselves to last through this rough time, whether it's going to be short or whether it's going to be a long time. And that kind of thinking is going to reinforce really good business practices when it comes to your money, right? And now you'll be able to, essentially you're running a business. So if you can, find ways to be critical and find ways to be creative, right? Then this can be something, the start of real deep business thinking and business acumen.
I completely agree. I was just going to say that another thing is if you're working on your business, that also figure out ways to increase the income of your business and your self income too. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think these will be definitely times where creativity will come. When the hard times come, I feel like we'll definitely start seeing a lot of creativity coming in any of the areas, I think. But I think especially entrepreneurs, because like that, our this is our job.
Yeah,
We have to make it work.
we
There's
have no we have no choice.
non-negotiables for us, so we're gonna
Yep,
make it work no matter what. So you're still gonna see us a year from now.
that's right. We'll still be here. Yeah.
We're still going to be here hustling, making it happen. And you'll probably start hearing how we start getting more creative, maybe, and if things do start getting tougher, maybe we start sharing how we start becoming creative or what we can do to make sure we're still keeping afloat or doing better than keeping afloat.
Definitely. Also, last thing, and don't be afraid to still buy in this market, right? Don't be afraid. The good deals are good deals, right? Don't follow what the media says. Don't be just afraid, just like everyone else says. Oh my God, everyone is seeing on the sidelines, no one's happening. That breeds opportunity. We know this, right? If you didn't learn this in the first lockdown of 2020, then I don't know when you're going to learn it, right?
Mhm.
Yes, we don't know what the future holds. And yes, but what we do know that no action is not going to get you anywhere, right? It's always action taking.
100%. And I think what will happen now, which I feel like I'm practicing a lot of, patience, doing all those analysis, trying to find houses. Yes, you get frustrated. Sometimes you need to take breaks, but being patient because that deal will come. And same thing, it's like almost telling it to myself. Like I know the deals will come. It's just you have to analyze more deals. We're in a phase right now where it's more deal analysis happening because you're finding those diamonds in the rough type of
Exactly.
thing.
That's
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. It's so much fun to have you, Randy. And
no problem.
we'll see you in next month's Money and Finances.
100%. All right. Thanks for having me again, as
Thank
usual.
you. Thank you, everyone. And if you guys ever have any questions for us, let us know and we'll love to answer them. We'll give you our points of view. Bye, everyone. Bye,
All right.
Randy.
Bye. Take care.